So give me the Dolphins there before they win the rematch of the NFC Championship game in Week 17 and in Week 18 with the number 1 seed on the line. I have the 49ers taking that number 1 spot. A lot of question marks with the 49ers. The offense, rock solid, but will they be able to replace some of the guys that they lost on defense? I think that they will. Give me the 49ers going 12-5 and seed in the NFC. Give me the Packers there, but I'll take the Seahawks over the Vikings in Week 16. The Bears at home on Thursday Night Football in Week 17. And give me the Rams to close out the season for the Seattle Seahawks. I know it is going to be very tough. A lot of question marks with this team. How long is Geno Smith going to remain at quarterback? Is Sam Howell going to see some action? With a new coach, a new offensive coordinator who wasn't even in the NFL last year, I see 5 wins for the Seattle Seahawks this season. Returning from the bye, I have them losing on the road to the New Orleans Saints, but defeating the Philadelphia Eagles, the signature win for Jaden Daniels in Week 16, which means the following week they'll lose to the Falcons, but with an opportunity to spoil the year for the Dallas Cowboys. Give me a win for the Commanders in Week 18 on the road against the Dallas Cowboys. Too many unknowns here. What's going to happen on the defensive side of the football? Are they going to be trading away players? This team does have an opportunity to surprise, but right now, the way I look at it, give me 6 wins for the Washington Commanders. In Week 15, but come home in Week 16 to defeat the Detroit Lions. They will beat the Seattle Seahawks. And then, with their playoff berth pretty much sealed, they've got the North already. They don't really need to win in Week 18, but they can keep the Packers out of the playoffs. Give me a Bears dub, finally. This is where the Bears finally do it. Look at Caleb Williams is walking into the best situation a number 1 overall pick has ever been in. The Bears are going to the playoffs. So the Bears are going to win the NFC North with 12 victories. Say the Bears sweep the season series. The 49ers game, Monday Night Football, Week 17, NFC Championship game rematch. I'm going to go with the 49ers, but in Week 18, the Lions stamped their way into the playoffs with a decisive victory over the Minnesota Vikings. 10 wins for the Lions and a return to the playoffs. This team is legit. A road game against the Seattle Seahawks. This is a toss-up for me, but I'm going to take the Seahawks here. Week 17, though, with a chance to beat the Green Bay Packers and try to wreck their playoff chances. Give me a victory for the Vikings over the Packers here in Week 17. But on the road, Week 18, I am going to be taking the Lions. I think this Vikings team is talented, but I think they have way too many question marks, especially at quarterback. So I've got them for 7 wins. They go on the road for back-to-back games. A loss to the LA Chargers, a loss to the Dallas Cowboys, who only beat good teams, but I think the Buccaneers are probably not going to be as good this season, despite sweeping the season series. Victory over the Panthers in Week 17, and then the Saints get them in Week 18 as they go on to the playoffs this year. I think last season was special for Baker Mayfield, but I think this is going to be a struggle this year, and I have the Bucs for 6 victories. Week 15 playing host to the Washington Commanders. I'm going to go with the Saints victory right there, but ultimately they find a loss in Week 16 going up to Lambeau Field late in the season in that cold. Week 17, Derek Carr revenge game. Give me the Saints there, and with the playoffs on the line, I have the Saints defeating the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in Week 18. So while they came up just short last season, I have the Saints returning to the playoffs with a 10-7 record. A win over the Kansas City Chiefs in Week 15, kind of establishing themselves, but after that big win, end up losing to the Cincinnati Bengals on the road, but defeat the Miami Dolphins in Week 17. And then in Week 18, I have the Baltimore Ravens winning that one, but still, I have the Cleveland Browns for 10 wins this season in a trip to the playoffs. I'm going to go with the Browns in maybe a mild upset in Week 15. Chiefs, though, take care of business against the Texans in week 16, lose to the Steelers in this holiday classic in week 17, but with the number 1 seed on the line and trying to play for playoff positioning, Chiefs over the Broncos in week 18. So I think it's going to be a very good year. The Chiefs once again win the AFC West. Beat the Falcons at home, lose to Jacksonville in the Gardner Minshew revenge game in week 16, lose to the Saints in week 17, but end the season on a high note with another convincing victory over the LA Chargers. It wouldn't surprise me if the Raiders ended up going on a run and winning 12 games. I think the defense is going to be very good, but for right now, I have the Raiders with 8 wins. But week 15, Chargers beat the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, lose at home to the Denver Broncos. The Broncos fans show up in mass for those games, but I do have the Chargers beating the Patriots in week 17 before ultimately losing once again to the Las Vegas Raiders. I know that Jim Harbaugh turns teams around, but this will be much like his first year at Stanford. 7 wins for this Chargers team is going to be a miracle. That's a loss there, but the Bills finished strong. I have them beating the New England Patriots. I have them beating the New York Jets at home and then going on the road and defeating the New England Patriots. The schedule breaks out very well for them at the end, getting the Patriots in 2 out of their last 3 games. So I have the Bills ending up with 9 wins this season. I will take the Dolphins there before losing on the road to the Houston Texans. They will beat the Mike McDaniel revenge game against the 49ers in week 16 before losing to the Browns in week 17, losing to the Jets in that rematch in week 18. But still, for me, it's 11 wins for the Miami Dolphins going to the playoffs. No shame in losing to the Jacksonville Jaguars. That's a good team. But week 16, playing host to the Rams, gotta win that one. But I have them splitting the season series with the Bills, so they lose in week 17, beat the Dolphins in week 18, finish with 11 victories. I think this is one of the most talented rosters in the NFL. I got them for 11 wins, and I look for them to make a run in the playoffs. Lose to the Titans, but beat the Jets in week 15, beat the Raiders on the road in week 16, and then beat the Titans in week 17 before ultimately finishing the season with a loss at the Indianapolis Colts. But I think Doug Peterson is going to rebound. I know that last year finished very poorly, but this season the Jags rebound and they win 9 games and make it back to the playoffs.